winter of 1978.
The winter of 1978 was one of the coldest winters on record in the small town of Hollow Lane. The streets were covered in a thick blanket of snow which had hidden a thick layer of black ice, making it difficult for anyone to navigate, especially at night. But that didn't stop a group of 5 friends from coming up with a reckless plan that would ultimately end in tragedy. It all started one evening at the local diner, where the friends were catching up over burgers and fries. As they laughed and joked, one of them, Jake, came up with a daring idea.
"I dare you to jump into the back of that semi-truck that just pulled up,"
said Jake, with a mischievous gleam in his eye. The others chuckled nervously, but one of them, Freddie, took the dare. With a mixture of excitement and fear, he snuck out of the diner and climbed into the back of the truck. The group watched from the window, waiting for the truck to pull away so they could follow in their car to continue the prank. But as fate would have it, things took a turn for the worse. The truck pulled out onto Route 614, and the friends quickly scrambled to get into their car and follow. After about 45 minutes of driving, they suddenly heard a loud bang and felt the car jerk as they uncontrollably slid off the road. They had gotten a flat tire in the middle of nowhere, with no way to communicate with anyone for help. Panic set in as they realized their predicament. The winter night was dark and frigid, with snow falling heavily around them. They were stranded on a deserted road, with no other cars in sight. All while being miles and miles away from town. Desperate and cold, the friends decided to leave the car and trudge through the snow back towards Hollow Lane. The walk seemed endless, with the wind howling around them and the snow stinging their faces. They stumbled and fell multiple times, their breaths coming out as clouds of frost in the freezing air. Finally, after what felt like hours, they made it back to town. They were exhausted and shivering. But their relief was short-lived when they were met by flashing lights and the sound of sirens. The police were waiting for them, having been alerted for the reckless stunt they had pulled earlier. The friends were interrogated and ended up being arrested for their dangerous behavior. They were charged with trespassing, reckless endangerment, and causing the death of Freddie, who had tragically fallen out of the back of the truck during the ride. The driver of the truck had not known that Freddie was in the back, and the friends' actions had led to his fatal accident. The town of Hollow Lane was in shock at the news of the accident, and the friends' families were devastated by the repercussions of their actions. The winter of 1978 would forever be remembered as a time of tragedy and loss, and a cautionary tale of the dangers of foolish dares and reckless behavior. The friends spent the rest of their lives haunted by the events of that dark winter night, their friendship torn apart by guilt and regret. And as the snow melted away and spring finally arrived, the town of Hollow Lane was left to mourn the loss of a young life taken too soon.